If I could only choose one niche fragrance that I could afford, if that's the only one that I could afford, which would it be? That's quite a hard challenge, but I have picked one. But the thing is that you mother flippers like lists, and we are only 14 seconds into this video, and I need this video to run at least 8 minutes for me to be able to get any money on it. So I decided to sort of make it into a list format. So what I've decided to do is actually split this into different seasons. If I could only afford one fragrance for spring, summer, autumn and winter, and then I do actually have a definitive niche fragrance that, like, bar none, that's the one that I would stick with if I could only afford one niche fragrance. But for fun, let's go with my one true spring niche fragrance, if that's all I could afford, of course. So this was kind of difficult. You know, I have some runners up here. I've got Oranges and Lemonade, the Bells of St. Clemens, and look, I did even consider Aventus. I really did think about Aventus because, hey, Aventus is handy, gets compliments, it's got a lot going on, it's both woody, birchy, and citrusy. It was a real contender. Now, this might be recency bias that's coming into play here, and this list is of my personal taste right now, but the fragrance that I would have to pick if I could only afford one niche fragrance for spring is Rule of 72 by 2787 Parfums. The reason being is because of the emotional connection that I have with this fragrance. It really does paint a vivid picture for me of being in a stone log cabin. It's cold, it's melancholy, and outside it's very beautiful green grass, blue skies, sunny. There's a lot going on in this fragrance that I can play with and that I can resonate with emotionally, and that is probably the main reason why I would only pick this fragrance. It's a very emotive fragrance. It's a fragrance that sort of touches me in my heart and maybe other areas, but you know, I don't feel as though we're close enough for me to discuss that just yet. Okay, so now summer. Well, this is going to be an easy one, isn't it? Millésime Impérial is absolutely the fragrance that I would pick if I could only afford one niche fragrance. It's exactly what I would have said about 2 years ago, but it's not now. I don't know how to say this to you, and I might as well just blurt this out. This is slowly becoming, like, not my favorite fragrance of all time. Wow, I just said it like that. Okay. Look, it kind of still is, like it is, but Burlington 1819 is getting pretty close. Like, every year that I wear more Burlington 1819, the more I'm like, this is getting a bit awkward, you know? Millésime Impérial is probably going to retain my all-time favorite all-time, and no matter what happens, by the way, this will still be the final review on my channel. This will still be the fragrance that I will review and do a video on to close the channel. But yeah, it's getting pretty crazy out here, to be honest. But Burlington 1819 is just something else, and that is easily the fragrance that I would pick if I was only able to afford one summer fragrance. It's got so much going on with rum, mint, citruses. It's a blend heaven of amazing aroma chemicals and just an experience really for the senses. So yeah, that's I can't believe that we're here, but that's the truth. And so now we get to autumn and winter, and this was hard. This was actually a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. Had a lot of runners up with autumn fragrances. For example, Frappin 1270 is a fragrance that I've really been enjoying consistently over the past few years. The only thing is that I do see this as a night out fragrance primarily, and maybe for more sort of formal wear and events. So I don't know if I'd be completely comfortable wearing this casually. It's just a little bit too friendly, a little bit too nice. And with autumn, I want something that is definitely friendly and definitely accommodating, but I also want it to have a little bit of grit. With that, I did think about maybe Fève Délicieuse, but it's the same sort of problem. It's a little bit too friendly for me. If I was younger, then I would have probably totally picked Fève Délicieuse. It's quite an easy and pleasant fragrance to wear, but I just don't know if that's where I am in my life right now. The two other main contenders for this were SM Café by Strangest Parfums. That really did nearly get this, and of course Angel Share by Kilian. These two were probably the strongest contenders to the throne. I love Angel Share. It has a very emotional connection with me with Edinburgh, and I was just prepared to pick this for that alone. And SM Café does have that grit that I want, but I feel as though it's a little bit overplayed, and I feel as though I've sort of been there and I've had that journey with this fragrance. SM Café is a great leather coffee scent, and Angel Share is a fantastic boozy floral scent that's really, these two are some of the creme de la creme of niche fragrances in my opinion. In the end, and again, maybe this is recency bias coming in, the thing that I picked was another fragrance from the Dior Privé line, and that is Tabacolor by Christian Dior. This is absolutely an astonishing tobacco fragrance, and this is where I hope that the tobacco fragrance genre is going and heading. This has kind of got everything that I could ever want in an autumn and fall fragrance, and I didn't pull the trigger on this until very recently, but if I'd bought this before September, this probably would have been my #1 autumn fragrance. But this is an astonishing achievement by Christian Dior. It's got this very crispy and aggressive tobacco, but it's also got a real sort of vanillic sweetness similar to the opening of Black Phantom by Kilian. You put those two elements of a really friendly and intoxicating boozy smell from the Kilian line with this very photorealistic crispy leaf tobacco in, and you have got the best of both worlds. You've got a fragrance that people will like, but it's also quite authoritarian and very confident, and so this is the fragrance I would go for. There are kind of two extremes with me with winter. There is Tobacco Vanille, which is this very fluffy, joyful, Father Christmas-like scent, which I think is absolutely beautiful and blissful. Very good, very sugary. It always has reminded me of chocolate desserts at Christmas, wintertime, and pastries, and the drink Drambuie really reminds me of this. If anybody knows what that is, it's like a whiskey liqueur that is so like Tobacco Vanille. It's amazing. But then on the other side, I was thinking Bahique by Renier, which is a very acerbically, soily, harsh fragrance that smells like soil, dirt, and death, which I really am into, and is one of the wildest and darkest fragrances of all time. But really, I wanted something that was versatile, and I very nearly went for Tobacco Vanille, but it wasn't completely all there because it's too jolly, it's too much, and I can't wear that consistently. The main problem with Tobacco Vanille for me is the sustainability of wear. So even though this might be a controversial choice, and John S. may enter the chat, I've gone for George Zaharoff's Tabac. Now, the main reason that I've chosen this, apart from the fact that I'm looking to buy a new boat next year, is the versatility factor of this fragrance. This is very much like Tobacco Vanille, but it's simpler, it's more compact, and it's just got this spicier, almost like pine tree smell in the tobacco and the vanilla, whereas this one is more like, you know, pastries, desserts, sweets. This is just sort of a higher tuned smell to me, and it's a lot more greener actually as I've come to smell it. The only issue that I do have with this is the projection longevity isn't great, but that has helped me with my decision, because Tobacco Vanille can be sometimes a little bit like it's a friend that's hugging you, and he's hugging you and he won't let go. This understands sort of social space a little bit more, and it has dignity and leaves when it needs to. Tobacco, I think, is a masterpiece. I think it's beautiful. These two are like my children. They're hard to decide on, but if I had to wear one every single day for sustainability factor, I would go with Tabac by Zaharoff. Finally, what is the ultimate niche fragrance that I would buy if I could only afford one? That has got to be Oud Wood by Tom Ford. Case in point, it's not here. That's because I've already used 2 bottles of it up. This is just the most diverse, versatile fragrance ever. I can wear it any time of the year. It's sexy, it's really commanding, it's really confident. Might get a little bit cloying in summer, but it has been reformulated over the years, so that makes it a little bit more sustainable. With this kind of challenge, if you will, it's not necessarily about my favorite, it's more about the sustainability of use. If I'm picking one fragrance that I can only have and I will be wearing consistently, then that does really change things up, and Oud Wood to me is one of the most sustainable fragrances ever. It's a great fragrance, the hype around it is true, it's a beautiful, amazing fragrance. And look, for my Famine fans out there, I could have picked Carved Oud, and if you're going to make the argument to me to pick Carved Oud over Oud Wood, look, I'm open to that. Both are great fragrances, both are amazing, but for me, the OG stands the test of time. But one day I might transition to Carved Oud. So that is my one true niche luxury fragrance if I can only afford one. And if you want me to help you pick your one true niche fragrance and find out a fragrance that is both sustainable and affordable for you, then I'm still doing the fragrance consultations. A 45-minute fragrance consultation is no longer $85, it's only $57. That offer is only available in November and December. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm The Fragrance Prince. Bye.